So in Dynamics 365 we have service level agreement, and that can be configured for custom entities as well as out of the box entities. So by default this is activated for the case entity. Let's say we have this new case and we want to just uh, uh, set up an SLA for the case. So for that what we need to do, we just need to go back to the customer service admin app, and here we have the service term page, and we have three options here to be configured. So we will see one by one, and after that we will also see the entitlements in the upcoming videos. So this is the main service level agreement. Here we will configure the service level agreement. These are the key performance indicators, SLA KPIs, and these are the global settings of SLA. So to create and configure the SLA, we first need to create a service level agreement. Let's click on manage. Currently we don't have any service level agreement. Let's click on new. Here we can give the name of SLA. So let's say this is for the case entity, so we can say case SLA. Now this primary entity, we can select the entity from the data words. So as by default the case is enabled, so only case is coming here in the drop down. Otherwise, if we enable for more entities, all will show under this drop down. Now click on save. Now we have another subgrid SLA item. So each SLA item can be configured for a particular scenario for this case entity records. Before creating SLA item, we need to go back to the service term page, and here we need to configure SLA KPI. Click on manage. And we have this new button here. Let's click on new. Here we can give the name. So for the case entity, we have two KPI field created by the system by default. So we will just enter the name according to that only. So let's say first response by. Now the entity name we can select from the case entity, and these will provide the KPI fields created for the case entity. So by default the system has provided these two KPI fields. Let's select this one, and when we want to make this applicable, that we can select from that drop down. Let's say we want to apply it for from the created on. Let's click on save. Let's activate this to use it into the SLA item. Let's go back. And here this is showing one information. So let me click on activate. I will show you where that settings can be enabled. So if we go back here and we go back to other SLA settings, so this was the settings which was turned yes. So for that reason the alert was showing there. Let's go back to the service term page. Now we just need to go to SLA. This is our SLA. We need to create a SLA item. Let's say the SLA item will be first response, and here we can select the KPI. So we can pause or resume the SLA if we set it to yes. This is like allow custom time calculation. If we select yes, it will ask us to select the custom time calculation workflow, which we can configure here. But as of now, let's make it simple and turn it off. The business hour, this is a lookup field, and from here we can decide the business hours of a particular organization. Let's say if we want to configure the business hour from Monday to Saturday at from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that can be configured for that. Let's make it simple and let's just create the SLA item. So I am currently not adding any business hour. So there are few more conditions which need to be configured. The first one is applicable when. So when we want this SLA item to be applicable, so we can select the attributes from the case entity. So here is the list of all that fields. Let's say we want the case type should be equals to problem, and when we want this SLA item as succeeded, so success condition can be configured from here. Again we can select the attribute from the case. Let's say we are going to consider the case is the SLA item as successful when the status of this case is equals to resolved. After that we have pause configuration. So we can override the criteria of pause configuration, which we can define in the other SLA settings, which I have shown just a few minutes back. We can override those criteria by clicking on this yes button, and here again we will have the attributes of all the case of the case entity, and we can select from here. Let's make it simple and do not select the criteria here. This is the won and fail duration, so we can select the time in the won and failure after. So when we want to warn the user who is like handling the case, so that time we can select from here. Let's say 1 minute. Similarly, I want to make it as failure for 2 minutes. Okay, let's click on save. So SLA item got created with the name first response. Now it is not compulsory to set the action for this SLA item, but if you want to configure such action, that can be configured by clicking on here. So let's click on this. So you should always allow this pop-ups, and let's again click on this. So it will navigate us to the Power Automate website where the system has generated a flow for us. So this is the flow name. It should not be modified. Let's click on continue. And these are the actions which should not be renamed or should not be updated. All the action can be done after this switch action. So if you see, this is the switch action which checks the status of this trigger outputs, and it have few cases for us. Now in these cases we can configure the actions. So let's say we have near to non-compliance. When the case is near to non-compliance, in that case if we want to take any kind of action, that can be taken here. Let's say let's say the SLA got succeeded. In that case, what action can be taken? That can be configured here. Let's say the SLA got failed. In that case, the action can be added here. For the demonstration, let's add an action here when it is near to non-compliance. So we can use all the data word section here, or we can send a alert message to the user. So let's say we want to send a alert message to that user, and we can say like add a row. Here we can select email message, and now we need to select the from party, and let's give the system users. Now for the demonstration purpose, I'm just going to select the created by, because I don't want to send it. I just want to show it on the timeline of that case record. So here I can select created by value. Now another item I can say to party, and I just want to use the same system user. Now under the advanced option, we have the description. So let's say your case is near to non-compliance, please do the needful. Let's give a break element here also and here also. Okay, so this is the email body. Now we just need to set the regarding for this email message. So we have regarding for cases here. So we just give the logical name of that case entity, and the GUID of record can be found from this dynamic content. So let's search for regarding, and here we have regarding value, so it will be the GUID of that case. Now after that we can also say the subject case near to non compliance. That's it. Let's click on save. So now the flow is saved. Let's go back to the SLA, click on save and close. So the SLA item is created. We need to make it activate, and we need to make it default, so that for all the cases with this criteria it will be applicable by default. Otherwise we have to select it from that lookup field. So let's click on the set as default. Let's go to the customer service app, or you can go to any other app wherever you can access the case entity. Let's create a new case. Click on new case. Let's create a new case with name case 1. Let's select the customer, and we have set the condition where the type should be problem. Let's click on save. So here you can see this is a quick view form, and in this we see this timer. So this timer we have set the limit as 2 minutes, and we have a warning condition also enabled for that, where that is near to non-compliance. So that is set for 1 minute. So after 1 minute the flow should trigger, and it should create a email, and that should be linked with this case record, and if that is linked to this case record, it should be visible on this timeline. Let's just wait for the 1 minute. and the 1 minute is about to complete. Now let's just refresh it, and here if we refresh this page you can see it is showing nearing expiry because only 1 minute is left to act on this. Also, if you see, I have received an email that I can see from here. So this is the email message and this is the email body. Let's go back to the case, and currently you can see the timer is counting down. Let's not resolve this case and see what happens. So now the timer is showing into red color, and if we click on the refresh button and let's go down, here you can see it is showing as expired. So in the SLA tab we have the SLA KPI instance as a subgrid. So if we open this record, here we will see the name of that KPI instance. Regarding of that case, the failure time was this date, and this is the time, and then this is the time for warning. And because this SLA got breached for this case, so there is no succeeded on time period. So the SLA got expired. Let's say if we are going to resolve this case within the time limit which we have configured in the SLA, then what response we can see here. Let's create a new case from here. Let's say the case name as case 2. The customer we can select, and the criteria is problem. Click on save. Go to summary. The timer has triggered. Now we are going to resolve this now. Click on resolve. So currently you can see status is in progress. When I resolve this, it should be changed to resolved. Click on resolve. So you can see it is resolved, and this response is showing in the green color with succeeded.